Many people want to be great. They want to be masters in their fields and known as the experts. But few people are willing to take the time to grow. Growth doesn't happen overnight. If it did, it would be great. It would be awesome if we could just show up in the morning and then be awesome at anything we want to do. Maybe like the Matrix, where you could just upload a skill onto your memory or learn how to play the piano instantly by the click of a button. That would be awesome, but life doesn't work that way. At least not yet. So in this video, I want to talk to you about the 7 stages of growth. There are 7 stages in our lives that indicate where we are in a certain area of growth. Now, this is not across the board. It will be specific in different areas of your life because we need to grow in many areas of our lives, not just in one area. We're going to go through these 7 stages. I'm going to tell you what they look like so you can identify whether you are in this stage or not. And also we're going to talk about the needs of every stage, what the person needs in that specific stage of growth in order to grow and go beyond where they are right now. Because we know that growth requires something. If you are a tree, you require water. If you are a person, you require pizza. I'm just joking. Pizza is don't eat too much pizza. All right, so let's get right into it. So the first stage of growth is going to be the baby. The baby is the person that is brand new in any given area. They are still very weak. They are pretty much clueless. They don't know anything. And they are vulnerable. They need to be protected. A baby does not have any frame of reference or any knowledge about the world of that area that you need to grow in. When you start with something new, you are pretty much a baby. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what needs to be done. You don't even know the vocabulary. And so you still need to learn a lot, but you are also very vulnerable because of your lack of knowledge in that area. What does the baby need to grow? A baby needs to be protected. It needs someone to take care and to protect and to feed in order for the baby to grow and to go on to the next stage. When a baby is not fed, they will not eat on their own. And so when you begin with something, there needs to be somebody or some system or some process, like when we go to school or when we are going to college or when you are taking a course or starting out in a new field, that there is something or somebody that's feeding you step by step and guiding you and protecting you, helping you to grow into the next stage. And so as a baby, you'll make countless mistakes. I mean, everything is basically a mistake. It's a mess. You make a big mess as well. Yeah. And somebody's going to clean up after you. A baby needs to grow, and to grow, it needs to be fed. And so there is a lot of investment required in order for a baby to grow. Then we go into the second area, and the second stage of growth is called the stage of infancy. The infant is now at the stage where they start to explore. They can move around a little bit, whether it is crawling or walking. The infant is able to move on their own. They don't need somebody to carry them around anymore. They can move on their own for the most part. And this is also the stage where you start to explore. You don't know anything yet. You don't know what things are, but you start investigating those things. What happens when we do this? Don't touch that. Wow, what happens when I go there? Wow, you're going to get hurt, right? There's still a lot of protection needed. But the infant starts to explore. They start to take in by themselves information and investment. They start to investigate things. They start to try things. And this is the stage of growth where you become curious. You have learned a little bit. You have fed a lot of things. You don't understand everything yet. But now you are intrigued by this new thing. And you are curious to know more, curious to investigate, even though you don't really know much. You don't understand much yet, but it is interesting and you want to find out more. So let's look at the infant's needs. What needs does an infant have? An infant needs direction, very clear direction. It needs protection, very close protection to show you what you should and what you shouldn't do, because those things are not yet known to you. You don't know what is the best practices, and so you still make a lot of mistakes, but those mistakes can be corrected when there is somebody to guide you and to help you in this stage of growth. An infant needs a lot of encouragement. When an infant is not encouraged, then they will stagnate in the area where they are and not continue to grow. The curiosity of the infant is not enough for them to grow fast enough onto the next stage. Soon the infant will lose curiosity if they are not encouraged to explore more. Alright, so now we go on to the third stage of growth, and this is the stage of the child. The child is now old enough to know a few things. They have some knowledge. They have explored quite a bit, and they know what they should and what they shouldn't do for, the basic things. Not yet experienced enough to know more advanced things, but they know a little bit. The trouble with the child is that they believe too easily. They are gullible. And so the child has a lot of information and they will stand upon that information, but they might not fully understand it yet. The age-long argument of my dad is better than your dad. My dad can beat up your dad. Like, there is no evidence, there is no proof, but the child believes that this person is the best. They believe the information they have been given, and so they will stand by it even though they cannot really back it up. And this is the child. The child now has bought into the idea. The child now is in the place where, in the growth process, where you have received enough to believe in this thing that you are starting to grow in. You have enough knowledge to go forward, but you don't really understand that much yet. You are still learning a lot. You are still investigating a lot, but at least you are growing and you have a good foundation, and you are able to communicate what you have learned in a very basic form. The beautiful thing about the child is very inquisitive. The child will ask many questions. Why? And that's good. We need to ask why. So in this stage of growth, it is vital to keep on asking why. Don't lose your curiosity. Don't stop asking why. Don't assume things. Ask and you will know. The other beautiful thing about the stage of a child is that there are innocence, that the child is still learning, that you are very innocent in your exploration and in your questions, and so everybody will give you the space that you need to ask those questions. Nobody is going to frown upon you because you are asking questions, and so make sure that you ask as much questions as you can during this stage of growth. So what does the child need during this stage to grow? What do you need when you are in the stage of growth? You need small responsibilities. This is the stage where you need to take on small responsibilities to help you to grow faster. This is the stage where you also need to keep on learning, because you are at the point where you are learning quite fast, and so you need to be invested in. You need to be guided. You need to be directed, because you have a kind of zeal, but it needs direction. And so structure is very important for the child as you go into the next phase of growth. The structure that you learn here will determine how well you will develop and grow in the next phase. And so this is a very vital and very volatile kind of stage of growth. And many people, they come to this stage and then they stop growing because they don't have the correct structure and they don't have somebody to guide them. And so if you are in the stage of growth as a child, so to speak, it is important that you find someone that can guide you, direct you, invest in you, protect you in those volatile and those vulnerable areas, and help you to move on to the next stage. All right, so let's look at stage 4. Stage 4 is the teenage years. Yep. Yeah, dude. Radical. So the teenager now is in a phase where they know quite a lot. Oh, so they think they do. But the teenager pushes the boundaries. When you are in the stage of the teenager years of growth, you are pushing the boundaries because you're trying to figure out exactly where those boundaries are. How far can you take things? Is this a set rule, or can it be bent? Can it be pushed? Can it be changed? And so the teenager is still exploring, even though their exploring might irritate somebody or might be seen by other people as disrespectful. But the teenager needs room. The teenager needs room to explore, and they need room to find their own identity. As a child, your identity is given to you. Boundaries are set for you. You are directed. But as a teenager, you want to find your own way. You want to question the things you have learned thus far to see whether they are legitimate or not, and whether you can stand upon them for the next phase of growth. And so when you enter the phase of growth as a teenager, so to speak, you come to the place where now you start to seriously question and ask those serious questions about yourself in the area where you are. So you have come into this new area of growth. You're trying new things, you're exploring new things, and now you want to find your own identity in that area. So the teenager or the teenage years of growth can be a very difficult time for a person to grow in. If you cannot find your own identity, you will lose interest in this stage of growth. And so what do you need as, so speaking, teenager in this stage of growth? You need a role model. Not somebody to mentor you yet, because that's too much of a boundary, too much of a box. The teenager doesn't want a mentor. The teenager wants a role model. Somebody they can look up to. Somebody they can strive to be like. Somebody who matches their identity that they want to build around themselves. And so the teenager needs very strong modeling. Somebody that they can definitely hold on to and look up to and guide them. But they don't want somebody to tell them who they should be or what they need to do. They want to figure that out for themselves. And so when you are in the growth stage of a teenager, you need to find yourself a role model. Somebody that you can look up to help you form your identity in the stage of growth. You also need to take on more responsibilities, as those responsibilities will help you to explore your identity in this phase of growth, so that you know what you are good at, what you are not good at, where you need to improve, where you still need to grow a lot, because you have grown quite a bit, but you are not mature yet. You need to be careful in this phase of growth as well, that you do not push away the people that have been investing in you. It is our tendency when we enter into this phase of growth that we want to push them away because we feel like we want to find ourselves. Still be sure to keep those people close to you, but communicate that you need space to explore and to find yourself in still allowing them to invest in your life, because you definitely still need that even in this stage of growth. Okay, now we go to the fifth stage of growth, and this is the young adult. When you get to the young adult stage of growth, this is the stage where now you have transitioned, you have found your identity, you know what you want to do, but you are still very much inexperienced. This is when you start to enter into the real world. Now you take on more responsibilities. You want more responsibilities because you feel like you are able and capable with what you have learned and the experience you have gained and who you believe you are to take on those responsibilities. In those responsibilities, they also start to reward you. There is rewards. You start to bear fruit. You start to show change. You start to show signs of maturity, even though you are not quite mature yet in the growth area of the area that you are growing in. In this stage of growth, you are still very much learning a lot of new things, especially because now you invite investment into your life. When you are in this phase of growth, you want to explore new ideas. And it's good. Allow yourself to try new things. Allow yourself to explore new ideas within your identity to establish where are your strengths, where are your weaknesses, so that you're able to work on those and build upon those and strengthen your weaknesses. What do you need as a young adult? You still need very good guidance. You need strong structures to help you to grow and accelerate your growth. You need somebody to mentor you. You have gone now from needing a role model to needing a mentor. A mentor is somebody that's more close. A mentor is somebody that can keep you accountable. Because you are taking on more responsibilities now, you also need more accountability. The teenager doesn't want accountability. That's the immature side of the teenager. The teenager, yes, explores a lot, and that's good. The young adult explores within the boundaries. The young adult wants to be held accountable because they want to grow. They want to take on more responsibility. They understand the need for structure. And so when you are in this phase of growth, you want to be sure that you surround yourself with the right people that can guide you, that can mentor you, that can disciple you, that can invest in you, because this is the stage where you are being set up to grow into maturity. And if you make a mistake here, if you have the wrong people, the wrong foundation, the wrong information, the wrong investments, your maturing will be messed up and you'll not be able to fully mature as we go into the next and second last stage of growth. All right, now we go into the second last stage of growth, and this is the adult. When you get to adult stage of growth, you are entering the phase of maturing. This is now where you have gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. You have also gained a lot of reputation for your growth. You are able now to start leading other people in this area. You are a mentor to some people. You are helping and guiding other people. You are also able to establish your own foundations, to establish your own frameworks, to establish your own way of doing things that are still very much structured. The mature person, or the adult, as we say, when you are in this stage of growth, you are still growing, but you need to be very careful because it can be very easy to settle into a comfort zone. You can start to think that, I've grown so much, I know exactly what I need to do, and you can actually stop growing because you stop allowing investment in your life. What does the adult need in order to grow? The adult needs fresh investment in their lives. Up to this stage, you have received a lot of investment from different people and from different areas, but it can be easy to close off yourself and to settle on the investment that you have received. But the adult here in this stage of growth needs to invite fresh perspectives into their lives. If you are a leader, you need to surround yourself with people that have different viewpoints and different ways of doing things in order to keep on challenging yourself to make sure that you do not grow dull, that you do not grow stagnant, that you do not settle and start to go backwards in your maturity. The adult also needs a clear vision. The adult needs very strong leadership in their life. And so it's important when you have come to the place where you are maturing, and maybe you are mature in that area of growth, that you have strong leadership in your life. You also need somebody to be accountable. You need companionship. You need peers that can hold you accountable, and somebody that is above you that can also hold you accountable to your growth. Otherwise, your growth will start to slow down until you stop growing. And that is when you start messing up. And then, guess what? You end up having a midlife crisis. Let's go on to the last stage. The last stage of growth is what we call the elder stage. This is the stage where you have become the master. You are the expertise in your field. You have established a name for yourself or a reputation for yourself because of your experience, your knowledge, because of the investment that you have in other people's lives, because now you are investing way more in others than what you are being invested in. That is also a danger that we'll touch upon now. But the elder is the person that is the guide to others. They set the pace in the field. They establish the framework in the field, and they also help and they create the gateway for others to enter into that space and help them to grow and to mature to maturity as well. What does the elder need? Like we said, there is an area here where you need to be very careful. When you become the master of your environment, of your field, of your area of or whatever it is you are growing in, you need to be careful that you do not stop receiving investment, because you can think that you have learned everything because there's no one that can teach you anything. You might end up actually destroying yourself. Even though you are the master, it doesn't mean that you know everything. Even a young person that is young in that area can still teach you something, and so remain teachable. Make sure that you surround yourself with people that are like-minded to continue to grow. The elder also needs to try new things. They need to explore new areas of growth where they can start growing again from scratch. You need to diversify your growth. Otherwise, you will start to become very bored and you can actually stop growing completely, and you can die in that area. You can give up. You can become irrelevant in that area because you are no longer growing. Just because you are the master does not mean that you will know everything. Things change in a rapid pace, and you need to keep up. You need to keep on growing. You need to stay in front, and you need to continue to invest in others and to help other people to grow. That is where you are the most valuable. It is the value that you can now add back into the system, back into the area, back into that specific realm, so that you can help others to grow, and so that you can also establish a foundation for other people to grow on top. When you think about a tree, this is another analogy that we can maybe talk about another day, but a tree that has grown to full size, and maybe they're still growing, but the growth is slow, but it's still growing, because a tree that doesn't grow is dead. When a tree has grown to maturity, it now becomes an ecosystem for many other plants and animals. The shade and the fruits and the leaves and everything that it creates an environment that is conducive for growth for other people in a tree, other creatures, and you know what I mean. But when you are mature, it is important that you understand that you have a great responsibility. A responsibility towards others and towards yourself, because you cannot keep the life and the knowledge and the experience and the growth that you have received. You cannot keep it to yourself. You need to make sure that you pass it on. You need to make sure that you are ready to move on. If you should pass away, or if you should move on, you need to make sure that knowledge and who you are has been imparted, that value has been imparted to others, so that the growth can continue and not die with you. So in conclusion, I want to ask you this question. In the comments below, tell me, where do you see yourself in the 7 stages of growth? And what do you think you need to do in order to keep on growing and move on to the next stage? And once again, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like so that we can be able to reach more people, the algorithm and stuff. And make sure to check out our other videos on the channel. Thank you for watching. Until the next one, goodbye.
I talk like this.